It's quite a collection, this. The winners of the best performance of the year as judged by the jury of the ESPNcricinfo Awards. And we're now looking at the winner in the best one-day international batting category. Some fantastic performances there, one must admit. Shane Watson was pretty good. There was Dilshan in there as well. But let's go across and check out the jury's verdict with Sanjay, Manjrekar and Ian Chappell. Tendulkar 175. What do you make of that?
I'll go with it. The only thing that I had, not against the innings, but perhaps the greatness of the innings had come down marginally because it was one of the many one-dayers that you play at home. You know, if you have a 7-match series and a performance that comes in the middle of that series cannot be perhaps compared with the Graham Smith's 140 played at the world stage level. So maybe that was the only thing that went against Tendulkar's innings, but he may have won purely because of the amount of runs and 175 in a chase, which was incredible.
And quality opposition.
Yeah, and had the tail batted a little better, that would have been one of the best one-day innings ever. And in this year, a clear winner.
Not too far away from Dilshan's 160. I thought Smith's 141 was an innings of some pedigree as well. And can I say who I voted for? Actually, my vote went to Shane Watson, I must admit, for that century. But what did you make of the winning performance?
Well, it was a dominant performance in, when the rest of the team basically struggled against that attack. And I think that's got to count for something. And I'm sure that's what swayed the voters or the judges. And probably the fact that Tendulkar turned the clock back. It was like the young Tendulkar again. And I think, when you're watching a cricket match and when you've had the opportunity to follow a player and you see him as a youngster and you see the precocious talent, and then he becomes a different type of player and suddenly he turns the clock back and plays such a blinder, I think that probably influenced the judges. And 175 and virtually,
and chase,
virtually getting his team home against quality opposition. I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can argue too much.
Let me throw a quick one at both of you. When you have a legend like a Tendulkar or a Lara, do you tend to give a little more weightage to that inning simply because it's come from a legend sometimes?
I think that is something we have to stop ourselves from doing. There's got to be a clinical diagnosis of every innings. I think that is very important, not let emotions come in. Apply the typical parameters to judge an innings, and I think that's where it comes through. And not so much because it was Tendulkar. Had it been a lesser-known name, 175 in a chase, and out of a score of 350, that's a special innings.
You think that happens sometimes, that you look at some players with different eyes and just say,
well, it's obviously going to happen because their class is, their standard is a class above the next guy. So if they play an innings like that, it is going to be outstanding because of the extra bit of class. And so, 175 from Tendulkar is going to look better than even 160 from Dilshan. Yeah, I mean, because of the class.
Which was the other innings under consideration. But it was quite an innings, as Ian Chappell said, seemed to have turned the clock back. We'd all got used to almost expecting Tendulkar to play a certain kind of innings. And like all great players do, he showed us that he can surprise us. So Tendulkar 175, the ESPNcricinfo One-Day International Performance of the Year.